What if I gave you $1,000? Would you spend 3 days in an expensive tourist city? Or spend a week, or even more, living experiences most people only save on Pinterest? Today, I'm showing you 5 destinations where your money buys way more than you think. Not cheaper places, better value. Places where your budget buys beaches, boat rides, mountain views, hidden experiences, and days you normally wouldn't expect to afford. And stay until the end, because the #1 destination might completely ruin expensive travel for you forever. But before we start, if you enjoy discovering places before they become mainstream and learning how to travel smarter, hit like, subscribe, and let's begin. Number 5. Albania. Most people hear Europe and immediately prepare to suffer financially. But Albania creates a strange feeling. You arrive expecting Europe. You stay because your money forgot it was in Europe. Imagine setting aside $150. Not for hotels, not for flights, just for experiences. That budget could turn into beach days, coastal exploring, cafes with sea views, historic towns, local restaurants, and enough freedom to stop checking prices every hour. Now compare that to destinations where $150 disappears before lunch. That's why Albania is quietly exploding. You're getting Mediterranean energy without Mediterranean pressure on your wallet. And there's another reason people keep coming back. You don't feel rushed. You actually enjoy more. Here's something people rarely talk about. When experiences cost less, you stop planning perfectly. You take detours, stay longer, walk more, try random places, and that changes the entire trip. Because nobody remembers the day they stayed under budget. People remember the beach they accidentally found, the street they didn't expect, the sunset they almost skipped. That's what destinations like Albania quietly give back: time, freedom, and the ability to enjoy without constantly calculating. That's why places like this suddenly become popular. Someone visits, posts photos, friends ask questions, then suddenly, the hidden destination isn't hidden anymore. So if Albania already interests you, this might actually be the cheap years. But Albania is only warming us up, because this next destination changes the way people think about travel. Number 4. Vietnam. Vietnam doesn't feel cheap. It feels unfair. You start your day planning one thing, then somehow your day becomes 5 experiences. Imagine giving yourself $75 purely to enjoy. That could become starting with local coffee, exploring different neighborhoods, trying street food, visiting viewpoints, taking transport across the city, night markets, and still ending the day thinking, wait, that's all I spent? Now increase that to around $250. Suddenly, you're saying yes to things you'd normally skip: tours, boat moments, special experiences, unique stays. Vietnam doesn't save your budget, it expands your trip. And there's something dangerous about that. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, what else can I do? But there's another reason Vietnam works so well: variety. Some destinations feel repetitive after a few days. Vietnam keeps changing. Busy streets, quiet areas, historic corners, modern energy, different atmosphere everywhere. That means your budget isn't only stretching, your experiences are stretching too. And because everything feels close enough to keep exploring, your days become unexpectedly full. You finish one thing, then another idea appears, then another. And suddenly, you realize you've done more in one day than you expected in 3. That's why travelers often make the same mistake. They plan short trips, then extend. Not because things are cheap, because everything feels worth trying. And once your budget survives day after day, you stop limiting yourself. One more stop, one more experience, one more memory. That's the dangerous thing about value travel. You don't leave thinking, that was enough. You leave thinking, I barely started. And one thing before we continue. This list isn't about finding the cheapest countries. Cheap can disappoint. This is about places where experiences still feel bigger than the price. And right now, the next three might do that even better. But now, we're entering the top three. And this next destination might quietly be one of the smartest travel choices right now.
Number 3. Georgia. Not the US state, the country.
Georgia feels like one of those places travelers secretly hope stays undiscovered. Imagine giving yourself $200. Not survival money, enjoyment money. That could become mountain viewpoints, scenic drives, historic exploring, long cafe stops, local experiences, big meals, beautiful stays, and moments that feel expensive without acting expensive. That's Georgia's secret. It doesn't feel budget. It feels premium at the wrong price. People arrive expecting value, then leave wondering why they ever paid more elsewhere. But what makes Georgia interesting isn't only what you can buy, it's what you don't have to give up. Usually when people hear affordable, they expect compromises, smaller rooms, fewer activities, constant budgeting. Georgia doesn't always feel like that. You can spend your morning walking through city streets, then end the day surrounded by mountain views that feel completely different. And because the experience keeps changing, your trip feels bigger than the distance you actually travel. That's the strange advantage. You don't feel like you're doing budget travel. You feel like you discovered something early. Maybe that's why people recommend Georgia differently. They don't say, you have to go. They say, go before everyone else does. Because once destinations become famous, prices change, crowds change, the feeling changes. Georgia still sits in that interesting moment, developed enough to enjoy, undiscovered enough to feel exciting. And that combination never lasts forever. But now, let's trade mountains for islands. Number 2, the Philippines. People dream about tropical destinations, then they see prices and close the tab. But parts of the Philippines still give travelers something rare: choice. Imagine taking $300 and spending it only on experiences. That budget could become island hopping, boat trips, beach cafes, water activities, sunset viewpoints, exploring multiple areas, scooter adventures, and those moments where you stop and think, this can't be real. That's the difference. Some destinations sell luxury. The Philippines sells possibility, because with thousands of islands, the same budget can create completely different adventures. Want relaxing beaches? Done. Want movement and adventure? Done. Want quiet places? Done. That flexibility changes everything, because suddenly your budget starts adapting to your trip, instead of your trip adapting to your budget. And maybe that's why island destinations feel different. You remember moments more than spending. You remember the boat ride, the random stop, the beach that wasn't even planned, the sunset you stayed for too long. And something strange starts happening. You stop checking the time. You stop caring about schedules. You stop thinking, what's next? And start thinking, let's stay a little longer. That feeling is hard to price. But if there's one place on this list that turns travel into memories fast, it might be this one. But now, number 1. And honestly, this might be the biggest surprise. Uzbekistan. This place feels impossible. You walk through ancient streets, see architecture that looks expensive, and your brain starts preparing for tourist prices. Then, reality shows up. Imagine arriving with $400 dedicated only to enjoying the destination. Not flights, not hotels, experiences. That could mean exploring historic cities, local markets, train journeys, unique stays, guided experiences, trying local culture, beautiful evenings, and constantly feeling like, wait, we're doing all of that too? Uzbekistan wins because of one thing: experience density. You don't spend less, you unlock more. And maybe that's becoming the real luxury now. Not expensive hotels, not paying more. Finding places that still surprise you. Places that don't feel overdone. Places where every turn feels unexpected. That's what Uzbekistan still offers: discovery. And discovery has become expensive, because most famous destinations are already familiar before you even arrive. You've seen the photos, the videos, the same angles. But here, there's still room to feel surprised. And that changes the trip, because travel becomes memorable again. And one thing I noticed while making this list, none of these places are truly cheap. They're valuable. There's a difference. Cheap saves money. Value creates experiences. The best travelers usually aren't spending the most. They're getting the most out of what they spend. So now I want to know, you get one free ticket and $1,000. Which destination are you choosing? Albania, Vietnam, Georgia, the Philippines, or Uzbekistan? Comment your answer below. And if you want more destinations before everyone else finds them, subscribe, because the best places usually stop being affordable once everybody starts talking about them. See you in the next journey.